let's look at level 1s. I think looking at late game differences doesn't really matter. Level 1s. 10 XP minus. Large Crab is 10 XP minus as well, so 10 XP minus on this too. 10 gold off. Small Krugs have lost 2 XP. Razor Beaks has lost 10 XP as well. And the 10 gold. So they basically nerfed jungle a tiny bit. I think that you can still get level 4 on a full clear, so that doesn't affect it too much. So your XP at later levels is a bit lower, at level 9. What do I think these changes do? Well, I think it does make jungle a bit more balanced, because the problem with jungle right now is you can basically just full clear, and you're the same level as your solo lanes, which I think is unhealthy for the game. It doesn't really make sense too much for the game if you're the same level as your solo lanes all the time, if you just keep farming and you get, I don't know, it's just not balanced, I think, because all you have to do is farm, you don't really have to gank ever, so you'll still get level 4. I think 5 camps level 4 will still be a thing. All this does is it stops power farming junglers from being the same level as their solo laners, which is kind of a problem right now, I think. And you can also invade as well. Like champions like Udyr, all he does is play PvE, running around the map, takes your camps in your face, runs through towers, takes your camps in your face. So it's really unhealthy for the game just because of how fast the levels they can occur. I mean, I think this also changes a couple things, right? So if you imagine tank junglers like Sejuani, Gragas, Jarvan, these champions can't farm very fast as champs like Nidalee and Lilia. So if I was to gank lanes as Sejuani or Jarvan and try to be proactive while the enemy jungle was power farming, these changes basically do is they means that they won't accelerate super far ahead of me. Like if I'm getting most of my XP from lanes, from push outs and from ganks and kills, then them power farming won't actually mean that when I press tab that they're 2 levels up on me when I'm proactive and they're farming. So that's actually a benefit in a way. The disadvantage is that what is the jungle meta now? I think is a big question for competitive. Is the jungle meta going to stay the same? My opinion, I think it will stay the same. I think it will stay towards carry junglers. Now that's not because carry jungles will still be OP in competitive. It's that carry jungles fit the meta right now. What I mean by that is champions like Renekton are meta. Champions like Camille, Aatrox. These champions need AP junglers. And all AP junglers, barring Gragas really, are carry junglers in a way. And Sejuani is arguable as well, but Talia, Lilia, Nidalee, all these things are carry junglers. So I don't think it'll affect the meta too much. The only thing that I will say is that the rise of tanks could be on the horizon, mainly because of the item changes over the last few patches and the XP nerfs of champions that can just sit there power farming. So things like Sejuani, things like Jarvan and Gragas could become a thing if they get small buffs to the champions themselves. Essentially how the competitive works is there's 3 jungle metas. The 3 jungle metas that exist are level 2 ganking junglers like Jarvan, Kindred, Xin Zhao, these champs which are just pure fighting to get lanes ahead because lanes are volatile. But the game's not in that state right now, so I don't expect that to return. The second jungle meta is full tank. Tank junglers like Zac, Gragas, Sejuani, all this stuff are basically when the game involves a lot of scaling. You'll see the tank meta come in when Zyra Rakan is meta, Azir Corki is huge meta, tank tops, Ornn. When the tank items are strong and there's lots of scaling, then tank jungles become more OP because carry jungles don't scale as well. The third jungle meta is the current jungle meta, which is carry jungle meta, carry top meta, full fucking in your face, fighting 2v2s, playing for drakes. The game's fast paced. I think that the jungle changes won't impact the game as much in competitive because the meta in competitive is kind of solidified right now. I think that we'll still see the same sort of meta, like, you know, AP junglers, Olaf, these kind of things. But I wouldn't be surprised as the meta evolves. I think that tank jungles will come back because first of all, we're seeing signs of the second jungle meta that I just mentioned, which is Azir mid. We've seen one Corki mid, it was kind of grief. But Azir mid is OP again. Zyra Rakan is coming back. When this meta starts to come back, I think we'll start to see more Ornn, more frontliners for these carries. And then I think we'll see more tank junglers, like Jarvan especially, which is kind of creeping its way in because Jarvan's really good against the mobile carries. And all the mobile carries are scalers, if you think about it. Aphelios, Xayah, all these kind of champs that scale super well, Ashe, are immobile. I think as the meta around jungle evolves, tank jungles will come back. So I'm expecting by summer split, probably tank jungle is the meta. Otherwise, I think the meta will stay the same. Either they'll buff tank items, or they'll buff Balmy Cinder, which is a huge jungle item for tanks. Or they'll make it so like Ornn's OP, or Zyra Rakan, Azir Corki are OP again. So that will be the meta progression in my opinion. And that's what I expect the jungle changes to do. For solo queue, I think this just makes jungle weaker overall. There's not much to say about solo queue. I don't think this will change the solo queue champion pool too much. I don't think this is going to mean that Zac jungle's OP or Kha'Zix jungle's OP or Lee Sin becomes OP. I think the way the jungle works in solo queue right now is basically whatever champion is OP is the strong jungle. It doesn't matter what jungle meta it is or what jungle camps give you. Whatever champion's broken is what basically means what junglers are OP in solo queue. So I don't think this will change much for jungle champion pools in solo queue. Obviously, I think the jungle win rate will go down a little bit, but it's not the end of the world. This doesn't change much, I think. It doesn't change too much for solo queue. I don't think it changes too much for competitive either. It just makes it overall 10-20% weaker, whatever the numbers are. But I think that you can slowly see the meta shifting towards tanks more, in my opinion, just because of the rise of other champions on the roles. Jungle is a dog. If you have Renekton in your solo lanes, then jungle needs to play topside, but you also need really strong 2v2. So like Renekton and Sejuani used to be really good, but Talia and Lilia nearly farm faster, and because camps are really OP right now, that's why those three are better than Sejuani. Even with Gragas, these champs are OP, but these champs don't farm as fast, and obviously, like you said, the camps respawn quite quickly. 2 minutes respawn on timer on the camps since start of season 10, I think. So I expect nothing to change too much. I think people are overreacting a little bit to these jungle changes. It just makes it a little bit weaker. But I think that we'll still see the same old jungle meta in competitive and solo queue. I think that the only way that they'll change much is if the champions themselves get changed, or the champions in other lanes change, and jungle becomes a different role to what it currently is, which is a carry jungle role.